And presidential candidate Kamala Harris of California, who was a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee today, questioned Director of National Intelligence Joseph McGuire and the Intelligence Committee Inspector General Michael Atkinson. So, Senator, we know about the quid pro quo. We know about the president saying if you want your Javelin missiles, the anti-tank missiles, if you want them to keep the Russians from invading your country more, help me with this dirty stuff. I need to get on Biden. And now today we find out that basically the term was, if you don't play ball, you don't even get on the phone with our president.
Right. I mean, listen, Chris, here's how I feel about it. Donald Trump, even when he was running for office, told us who he is. He told us, if I shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, I will get away with it. He is a lawless president. He literally is. He believes, obviously, that he is above the law, that he is beyond reproach, that he can do anything and get away with anything. And this is yet another in a series of examples about this fact. And it's outrageous. It is outrageous that on top of everything else, on top of everything that Bob Mueller told us in that investigation, that he is on the phone with yet again a foreign government attempting to influence the election for the president of the United States, and in that process not understanding that the job of Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America should be to defend and protect us against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But this president, Donald Trump, does not understand his job. And frankly, this is why, for so many reasons, that the process of impeachment should begin.
Is this guy running a criminal enterprise in the White House? Is this a racket? Is this a RICO violation?
It's certainly a racket, and we'll see in terms of how the evidence plays out. But it certainly reeks of corruption. It reeks of self-service. It reeks of a president who is not truthful. He is lawless, and he is running an administration that reeks of corruption. Yes. The
reason I bring that up is because what I know, you're the prosecutor. You know all this stuff, all the dirty stuff that goes on in business. I hear about the rackets where in the old days of the 30s, the mob controlled ICE. So you couldn't run a saloon without the ICE. So they owned you. They could take any money. They could extort any money. And then when I heard about the construction industry, they just control cement. If you want cement, you got to talk to them.
That's right.
It's like Trump says, you want military aid? You got to talk to me.
Yeah, he says you got to go through me. As opposed to understanding that this is about the integrity of the president of the United States and us as a people. But it's all about self-service, because here's the other thing that you have to understand. The guy is scared because he knows that he is going to be defeated in this election. He is desperate. And so his natural behavior that is about lawlessness is now, it has now blossomed into having a conversation with a foreign head of state in front of many people who have taken an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States, where he is bartering U.S. aid to support a democracy over what he wants in terms of an investigation into one of his political rivals. He's no better than any other dictator when it comes to using the resources of the people and in the name of the people for self-aggrandizement and for benefit, for personal benefit.
What did you make of the report in the whistleblower's complaint that not only did he conduct this extortionist move against the head of Ukraine, but his people around Trump, what they did was they took the verbatim, word-for-word transcript and buried it somewhere in some sort of catacomb used for very sensitive, top-secret information.
Yeah,
Do you
and
know
that's
if,
called
you know
a cover-up. And and you are right. My career as a prosecutor in a court, I would be arguing that this is evidence of consciousness of guilt. This is evidence of knowing that what happened in that phone call was wrong. It violates ethical rules. It violates the law. It violates the position of trust that the president should hold in the name of the people of the United States. And I'll tell you, Chris, having been in my career as a prosecutor and an attorney general, I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States. second only to the United States Department of Justice. This is completely, by every act that this president has done, including this one, an attack not only on our democracy, but our system of justice.
What did you think of Joseph Maguire, the acting director of national intelligence today? He made I watched the early performance, which was on TV this morning, public testimony. He kept saying, I went to the White House to get the approval of whether to release it or not. It seemed to be he was in a position of asking the people being complained about, the president and his people, whether it was okay to put it out or not. What did you make of the whole?
Well, I can't talk about what we didn't. It was in a classified setting, but you know enough to know that there was clearly an attempt to cover up, and eventually the American people now know, and the investigation needs to continue.
Well, he continues here with his cover-up. Earlier today, President Trump told staff from the United States mission to the United Nations, career Foreign Service employees, career people, that the whistleblower was, quote, almost a spy, and that the person who revealed the president's behavior to the whistleblower was treasonous. He then made a startling reference to punishing the individual. The LA Times was provided with a recording of the audio. Here's part of what the president said.
Like almost a spy. I want to know who's the person that gave the whistleblower, who's the person that gave the whistleblower the information, because that's close to a spy. You know what we used to do in the old days when we were smart, with spies and treason? We used to handle it a little differently than we do now.
He's talking about the chair. He's talking about the Rosenbergs. That's what he seems to be talking about.
He sounds like a criminal, Chris.
Yeah.
He sounds like a criminal. Who snitched? Who gave up the goods?
Yeah.
Let's find out who gave up the goods on us and make sure there's a consequence and it's serious. And let that be a lesson to everybody else. And it sounds like it's straight out of some bad drama.
Yeah.
But the fact is, this is the President of the United States. And the concern that I have is that we have created a system for whistleblowers to come forward because we want people to be transparent about the abuses in our government. And we've created laws that say we will protect them. And it should be the President of the United States, above all, who says that we welcome and will always protect people who are fighting for the integrity of our democracy.
Well, the complaint by the complainant, the whistleblower, highlights that during his or her call with the president's call with the Ukrainian president, Trump implicated his own attorney general in the scandal, Bill Barr. That fact's also borne out in the White House's account of the conversation, which shows that Trump repeatedly urged the Ukrainian president to speak to William Barr about the investigations he was pushing, that Trump was pushing. And while Barr's denying any involvement, it was Barr's Justice Department that advised the Director of National Intelligence not to pass along the complaint to Congress. So he was covering up. And now we're also learning that the Justice Department decided not to investigate the concerns raised by the whistleblower's complaint, saying there was not sufficient cause to even launch an investigation. It seems to me the president has replaced the normal government with 2 or 3 people, Giuliani and Bill Barr, who's sort of playing as Roy Cohn, not operating as the head of a department, but as his personal lawyer. It is.
But we saw that when Attorney General Barr delayed in sharing the Mueller report, mischaracterized it, let that mischaracterization stand before actually sharing it with the American people. And let's talk about, so the Attorney General of the United States, who seems to think that he is the president's personal lawyer instead of the people's lawyer. But on top of that, let's also talk about Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah. Well, he's got 2 wartime consiglieres here looking out for him.
Yeah, but you know what needs to happen?
Yeah.
So I'm actually calling on the IG and the State Department to actually investigate and figure out who in the State Department was in cahoots or was facilitating Giuliani's interactions with Ukrainian officials, who was giving him, if they gave him, any kind of intelligence. And who facilitated Rudy Giuliani, the personal lawyer of the president, to conduct himself as though he is an emissary for the United States. And the other thing, Chris, the New York Bar Association needs to investigate Giuliani and probably disbar him.
Let me ask you about your vote, because the way you talk, and a lot of people talk now, the high crime is in front of us right now. We see it. It was an extortionist effort to try to get a foreign government to get dirt for an opponent.
Admitted it.
He did.
Yeah.
Well, is it done? Should they just go to a vote in the House in the next couple of weeks and get this done with?
No. There should be a process by which the investigation is conducted and the facts are presented, and then let there be a finding. Let the process take. This is what we do. We believe in
Weeks
our
or months?
democracy. I think that, listen, I would like that it would be weeks.
Okay, thank you.
It has to be quickly.
I think that's what the speaker wants. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Senator
you're
Kamala
welcome.
Harris. We'll keep
You're welcome.
covering your presidential
You're welcome.
campaign. Good luck in Iowa.
Thank you. I'm
That's
moving to
where
Iowa.
You're raising the stakes in Iowa. Thank you very much, Senator. Director, by the way, Director